So this is part 2 of the beef arm roast recipe. Now there were a couple of things that I wasn't really able to elaborate with in the first part of this video. So one thing I mentioned was the location of the cut, where it comes from on that cow, and how you cook it. Now typically your toughest cuts of meat are going to come from the front part of that animal. The legs, the brisket, the chuck, all of those things in the front are going to be tougher than the cuts in the back of the animal. And mainly that's because when a cow is moving around, they are pulling themselves with their front legs, and their back legs kind of follow along, but it's not like they're being used as strenuously as the front part of that animal, if that makes sense. So if you've ever prepared a cut of meat from that location of the cow, your chuck roasts are like, duh, very obviously from the front of the animal if you've ever actually looked into that. But if you've ever prepared a cut from that location of the cow, think about how you prepared it and how it actually turned out. All right, so I have put the cuts of meat, obviously as I was cutting it apart off of the bone, the meat is in smaller sections. So there's like 10 sections of beef in here. You put salt on it, then you take an onion, slice it up, put that on top. That's what I'm gonna do right now. I did also want to clear something up, because on my last video somebody said that I did a lot of really good self-promotion, but that they wanted the recipe. And I am not a culinary expert by any means. I am an agriculture teacher and farmer, and happen to also have taught food science and meats evaluation and technology, which also includes identifying cuts of meat and finding where they are located in that animal. So there is also a whole list of ingredients that you add to the Instapot before you actually turn it on. Salt, beef broth, balsamic vinegar, minced garlic, Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, honey, and red pepper flakes. And the reason that I wanted to be sure to post this recipe is because this is a fail-safe go-to recipe for me and for my family, because it produces a decent amount, and my children are young, but you know, if they're in the mood, they will eat it. I usually serve this on rice. The red pepper flakes do add a little bit of a kick to it, but it only asks for a half a teaspoon, so you could probably even cut that in half or totally eliminate it if you really wanted to. So I just added everything, and I will be turning on the Instapot. So then you will set the Instapot to high for 45 minutes, and then it will naturally pressure release for 15 minutes after the timer goes off. One thing I do love about this recipe in particular is that it makes super easy leftovers, especially since my husband and I both work full-time and we have a farm.